The ship that was too cheap Zane was tired. Tired of small cargo jobs, tired of sleeping in rented pods, tired of running low on credits. He needed a real ship, something of his own. So when he saw the ad that said, "Fast-class transport ship. For sale, low price, no questions asked," he didn't ask questions. The dealer was shady. His smile was fake, his eyes always moving. But the ship looked fine from the outside. A little dusty, a few scratches, but solid. The nameplate was half broken, star something. No full name, no ID code. But the price. Too good, Zane thought. Maybe I finally got lucky. He transferred the credits, signed no papers, and flew off with his new ship. The inside was cold and quiet. The air smelled old, like it hadn't moved in weeks. Some of the panels flickered, and the lights in the hallway were dim. Zane walked through, checking every room. Empty, he whispered. No cargo, no traps. Just ... dusty. He sat in the cockpit and powered up the engines. They roared to life, louder than he expected. The ship lifted off, smooth but heavy, as the stars appeared on the main screen. Zane smiled. Finally, he said, my own ship. But then, beep, a soft, short sound. Zane looked at the control panel. Nothing was wrong. No alerts. No alerts. No messages. Beep. Again, he turned his head. The sound was coming from behind the cockpit, deeper in the ship. Zane stood up slowly and picked up his small scanner. It showed heat, movement. Maybe a rat, he said, or a maintenance droid. He followed the signal, step by step, deeper into the dark hallway. The sound of the engines faded behind him. The ship creaked, like it didn't like being woken. Up, the scanner beeped faster. Zane reached the back wall of the cargo bay. There was nothing there, just metal, but the scanner pointed to the wall. He touched the surface. It was warm thud, a soft sound. From inside, Zane stepped back. His heart started to beat faster. No way, he said. Is someone in there? He found a hidden latch on the wall, rusted old dot with a hard pull click. A secret panel opened. What? Zane saw inside, made him freeze. A small figure curled up, shaking. Large eyes, thin arms, gray-blue skin. An alien child. Behind the child, a taller figure. A woman, also alien, breathing hard. Her body covered in cuts and bruises. They looked at him with fear. Zane didn't move. What? What is this? He whispered. The woman reached out weakly and said something in a language he didn't understand. Zane turned on his translator. Double quotes. Please, Don't hurt us. Her voice came through, weak and tired. I won't, Zane said quickly. What are you doing on my ship? The child held on to the mother tightly. Her big eyes filled with tears. The mother said, we hid here. We had no choice. Zane looked around. The panel, it wasn't part of the original ship design. It had been added later. A hidden compartment. A hideout. Were you here when I bought the ship? She nodded slowly. We've been hiding for days. Running. Running from who? She looked away. Her hand touched her child's head. She whispered something soft, maybe a name. Zane stepped back. His mind raced. What did I just buy? Suddenly, the lights flickered. The ship shook for a second. Zane ran to the control panel. A red warning blinked. External scan detected. Tracking signal active. Someone was looking for them. Zane looked at the two aliens still huddled in the dark. You're being hunted, he said. The mother didn't answer. Who are you? He asked again. What did you do? She only said one word through the translator, a word that sent chills down Zane's spine. Run. Zane had choices. He could report them, turn them in, maybe get a reward, maybe stay out of trouble. But something in the child's eyes, the fear, the pain, stopped him. He remembered how it felt to be alone, to have no one. He closed the hidden panel again and whispered, "Stay quiet." Zane rushed back to the cockpit. His hands moved fast over the controls. The ship's engine roared louder. They were leaving this sector. As the ship jumped into hyperspace, Zane looked once more at the small scanner. The heat signals were still there. 2 lives, 2 secrets, and one big mystery that had just begun. Stowaways, or survivors. Darkness. For a moment, there was only silence. Then a soft click. A hidden panel opened slowly from inside. The alien mother's hand reached out, shaking. Her fingers touched the cold floor of the ship. She pulled herself out weak, her breaths short and fast. Her skin shimmered slightly in the dim hallway lights. Behind her, the child crawled forward, eyes wide, glowing faintly in the dark. They didn't know where they were. They didn't know if this human was friend or enemy, but they were running out of time. Zane sat in the cockpit, hands on the controls, eyes fixed on the scanner screen. It kept blinking, tracking signal active. He muttered, "Someone's coming because of them." He didn't know who those 2 aliens were, but he had seen real fear in their eyes. They weren't stowaways stealing a ride. They were escaping something. Zane stood up, took a deep breath, and walked back to the hidden panel. He unlocked it again. The 2 aliens stared at him. The mother flinched. She covered the child with her arms, protecting her. "I'm not going to hurt you," Zane said softly, "but I need answers." He sat on the floor, keeping his distance. "I bought this ship yesterday. You were already here, hiding. Why?" The mother tried to speak. Her mouth opened, but the words were broken. The translator buzzed, trying to understand her language. She spoke again. This time, the translator caught something. "We escaped. They want the child." Zane's eyes narrowed. "Who wants the child? Why? They call her seed." Zane blinked. "What does that mean?" The mother looked down. Her body shook, not from cold, from fear. "They want her. Because she can stop them." Zane didn't know what seed meant. Maybe it was a name. Maybe it was something bigger. But it was clear the child wasn't ordinary. He noticed something. As the child touched the floor, a small light blinked on the nearby control panel. Not red, not danger, just on. Like the ship was reacting to her presence. Zane stood. "You 2 need food, water, rest." He walked to the storage unit and brought back some emergency rations. The mother hesitated, then took it. The child looked at him, curious now, less afraid. "What's her name?" Zane asked. The mother smiled faintly. "Alari." Zane nodded. "I'm Zane." The child Elri reached out slowly and touched his hand. In that moment, something strange happened. Zane's personal comms device, off since yesterday, suddenly turned on. A single message popped up. "They are not safe. Neither are you." Zane jerked back. "What the hell?" He checked the signal. No sender. No trace. Just a warning. Hours passed. The ship floated silently through unmarked space. Zane tried to sleep, but his mind kept racing. Who were these 2? Why did someone want the child so badly? In the middle of the night cycle, a sound woke him up. Soft footsteps. He got up and followed the sound. In the cargo bay, he saw Alari standing alone. She was looking at the stars through a small window. Her hands were glowing softly, like blue fireflies. Zane didn't say anything. She turned and looked at him. Her eyes seemed older than her face, too old for a child. Suddenly, The ship's lights flickered. A voice came from the ship's intercom, but it wasn't Zane's system. A. Deep voice. Cold. Return the seed. Or B. Destroyed. Zane ran. To the cockpit, tracking alert active. Unknown ship approaching fast. He opened the comms. Who are you? No reply. Just the same message. Again, return the seed or be destroyed. Back in the hallway, the mother stood beside her daughter. They found us, she whispered. Zane looked at them. I should throw you off this ship, he said. You've brought death here. But then he looked at the child again, and he couldn't. She wasn't a monster. She wasn't a weapon. She was just a scared kid, maybe one who didn't even understand what she was. Zane made a decision. He walked to the controls. Hang on, he said. The engines lit up. The ship turned sharply, away from the unknown vessel. Zane didn't know where he was going. No plan, no map, only one thought in his mind. I can't let them take her. The hunt begins start with a flashback, but not Zane's. Asterisk, a massive laboratory burns under a red sky. Sirens scream. Creatures in black armor storm the halls. In the center of the chaos, the alien mother runs. Blood on her arms. The child in her arms is silent, but her eyes glow. Doors shut behind them. She presses a code into a hidden escape pod as the pod launches into space. A voice from behind says, "You can't hide her. We will find the seed." Zane jolts awake from the pilot's chair, sweat on his forehead. He had never seen that dream before, but somehow it felt real. He looked back toward the engine room where the alien mother and child were hiding. The ship was quiet, too quiet. He opened the scanner again. Something new appeared. A black dot. No name, no signal. But moving, fast, following them. Zane narrowed his eyes. They found us. He ran down the hallway, knocking on the compartment panel. Get up. We have to move. The mother stepped out, holding Alari close. What is it? Zane pointed at the screen. Something's chasing us. No ID, no signal. That's not normal. The mother's face turned pale. Bounty ship. Frowned, they hired hunters. She nodded. Not just any. Shadow hunters. They don't speak. They don't stop. They don't fail. Zane felt cold inside. He jumped into the cockpit, pulling manual controls. I hope this rust bucket still has some tricks. He dived the ship into an asteroid field. Thick, chaotic, dangerous. Metal scraped the sides. Crashed into each other. Sparks flew inside the ship from behind. A black ship entered the field, sleek and silent. Zane whispered, "They're not scared to follow. ... The alien child sat behind him, silently watching the stars blur past. Then, without warning, she reached out and touched the dashboard. A new screen appeared, one Zane had never seen. A stealth mode option. He stared. That wasn't there before. Alari looked up at him, calm. Cora eyes glowing again. Zane activated the stealth mode. The ship vanished from scanners. Lights dimmed. Engines went silent. Zane held his breath. The black ship stopped, ... paused, ... and then drifted past. Silence. They were hidden. For now later, Zane sat across from the alien mother in the dining pod. He spoke quietly. She's not normal, is she? The mother nodded. Her voice was low. She's not just my daughter. She's ... more. Zane leaned forward. Tell me the truth. Before it's too late, the mother looked at her hands. Then she began. I was a scientist for the Galactic Council. I was working on Project Origin, a way to combine species. DNA, technology, biology, ... to create peace. But they turned it into something else. She looked at Alari. They wanted a weapon, but she became something else. She became ... aware. Alive, she sees things. Feels energy. She can touch machines like they are part of her. Zane tried to stay calm. You're saying? She's a hybrid. The mother looked up. I'm saying she's the first. Suddenly, the stealth system failed. Alarms blasted. Tracking reacquired. Hostile lock on in 12 seconds. Zane's heart pounded. How did they find us again? Mother stood. They don't need trackers. They follow her energy. Zane turned to the child. Can she stop them? No, said the mother, but she can lead us to someone who can. Zane pulled the ship into a sharp turn. Then tell me where to go. The mother opened a small metal chip and placed it. On the map console, a location blinked into view. The silent moon, a place lost in space. Abandoned, uncharted. Zane stared at it. That's a myth. That place doesn't exist. The mother said only one word. It does now. Zane activated full speed. Behind them, the black bounty ship reappeared, charging weapons. In front of them, the silent moon shimmered into existence. On the star map, like it had just awakened, Zane gripped the controls. Let's find out what else is hiding in the dark. Asterisk, the walls of the silent moon base were not made of metal. They were made of silence. When Zane stepped out of the ship, the sound of his own breath felt too loud. The base floated on the edge of a dying star system, half lost in shadow. No life signs, no signals, just dust and echoes. This place gives me the creeps, he whispered. Behind him, the alien mother held Alari close. The child stared at the walls, her glowing eyes reflecting shapes that weren't there. They walked through the main hallway, lights flickering to life as they passed. No one had lived here for years, maybe decades, but the doors opened anyway, almost like the place was waiting. Zane reached the central chamber. A giant black console stood in the middle, dead and cold. The mother walked toward it without hesitation. This was once a science outpost, she said softly. My outpost. Zane blinked. You worked here? She nodded. Before they erased it from every map. He watched her place her hand on the console. Nothing happened. Then Alari stepped forward. She didn't touch it, just looked at it, and the console lit up, slowly, as if waking from a long dream. Zane stepped back. Okay, that's not normal. The console spoke in a mechanical voice. Welcome, Director Kale. Zane stared at the alien mother. Director. She didn't answer. Her eyes were on the screen. Images appeared. Files, data logs, old experiments. One word caught Zane's eye. Project Origin file. C. LED. He pointed. Is that what she is? This origin thing? The mother's voice dropped lower. Not a thing. She is the final key. Zane felt like the floor had shifted beneath him. I need to know who you really are. The mother finally turned to him. My name is Kale. I was one of the chief scientists for the Galactic Council. I helped design weapons, technology, even artificial minds. But I also dreamed of peace. Of blending the best of our species, not to destroy, but to evolve. She looked at Alari, now seated quietly, her small fingers tracing glowing shapes. In the air, Alari wasn't just created in a lab. She was born in secret. She's not part alien, part tech, or part anything. She paused. She's the first of something new. And they fear her for it. Zane tried to breathe slowly. Why didn't you tell me this earlier? Kale looked at him, tired, broken, but fierce. Because the last time I trusted someone with the truth, my team was killed, my files erased, and they tried to destroy my child. Zane leaned against the wall. His world was spinning. What do they want now? To finish the job. A noise stopped them all. A deep hum from the other side of the base. A door opening, Zane raised his weapon. But no one came in. Just a small drone. Broken, dragging itself forward. It spoke in a rough, glitchy voice. Warning, shadow hunters breached perimeter. 2 minutes, Zane cursed. They followed. Us here. Kale turned to the console. We have one shot. If I can access the origin core, I can hide her signal. At least for a while. Zane looked at Alari. Is she strong enough? Kale didn't answer, but Alari stood up and walked to the center of the room. Without fear, the console shifted. The walls began to glow. Symbols spun around her in the air. Light flowed from the floor into her skin. Zane stepped back. What's happening? Kale whispered. She's connecting. The base was made for her. The tech was always hers. The lights pulsed. Larry's body lifted off the ground just slightly. Her eyes shone like stars. And then everything stopped. Silence. Again, that hum outside was gone. Zane ran to the scanner. The bounty ship? It's gone. No, Kale said. It's still there. But she's no longer visible. She removed herself from all sensors. Zane stared at the child, now asleep in Kale's arms. She's just a kid, he said. Kale looked at him. She's the future. Zane didn't know what scared him more, the enemies chasing them, or the power that had just awakened inside this small, quiet child. Darkness didn't always mean fear. Inside the silent moon base, it meant stillness. No movement, no warnings, no sound. But Zane knew better. Silence didn't last long in the galaxy. He stood alone in the observation deck, staring into the black void. Somewhere out there, the bounty hunters were circling, watching, waiting for a mistake. Behind him, soft voice broke the silence. She used too much, Kale said. Her face looked even more pale than before. Alari's body wasn't ready for that much connection. Zane turned. The child lay in a sleep pod, breathing slow but shallow. Her hands occasionally twitched, not randomly, but like she was touching something no one else could see. You said she removed herself from every scanner, Zane whispered. So why can I still feel them out there? Kale looked away. Because they never needed tech to find her. They can smell what she is. They were made for it. Zane's eyes narrowed. You mean? They're not just bounty hunters, Kale said, almost afraid to say more. They were created by the same council that created Alari. Only their purpose was the opposite. She was built for evolution. They were built for extermination. Zane took a deep breath and muttered, Fantastic. Far above the moon, hidden in the shadows of a dead comet, the black ship came alive. No lights, no engines, just motion. Inside, the shadow hunters moved in silence. They didn't need words. Their minds were linked. Their only command, eliminate the seed. Back on the base, something changed. Zane noticed it first. The ship's artificial gravity began to shift. Slightly tilting. It was subtle, but wrong. Kale's head snapped up. They're here. Zane ran to the control deck. They shouldn't even be able to see us. They can't, Kale said. But they know. They feel her. Zane opened external cams. Nothing. He tried the scanner silent, but when he opened the manual visual port and looked at the stars, one of them moved, not blinked. Moved, coming closer. Wake her, Zane said, voice sharp. She's weak. Wake her now. Kale, open the pod. Illyri's eyes opened instantly. But they were different now. Dimmer like the light inside her was tired. I need your help again, Zane said, kneeling beside her. You don't have to fight. Just help me run. Alari blinked slowly. Her small hand reached toward the nearby console. The entire base hummed, responding to her. The ship docked to the outer ring, roared to life before Zane even touched the controls. He stared. She is the ship now. Kale nodded. She's becoming what they feared. They boarded quickly. As Zane took the pilot seat, Ilari stood behind him, eyes glowing faintly. Outside, the black ship finally broke through the silent moon's shadow. But something was wrong. It hesitated, as if unsure then. Zane realized they were afraid now. The engines screamed and Zane pushed them forward, but the ship wasn't moving the same way anymore. It wasn't flying, it was slipping through space. No jump, no light speed, just vanishing, folding into somewhere else. Inside the black bounty ship, the lead hunter reached out toward the stars and hissed. A burning mark appeared on his arm, not a weapon wound. A signal from Ilari. A message, Fess, that said one thing. You can't catch what is no longer part of your world. Back in the cockpit, Zane watched stars melt and reappear. The ship landed silently near a frozen moon. They were safe. For now, Zane turned to Kale. What's happening to her? Kale didn't answer, because Ilari was no longer looking at either of them. She was staring into space. Eyes wide, mouth slightly open, and whispering words in a language none of them had ever heard before. But the ship understood, and so did something. Listening in the dark, the ship spoke before anyone else did. A low, mechanical voice, not from the speakers, but from the walls themselves. You are not where you were. You are not where you belong. Zane sat frozen in the pilot's chair. Outside the window, the stars were wrong. They didn't match any chart, any known sector. They twisted unnaturally, as if the laws of space had been bent like wires. Kale stood behind him, holding Ilari's hand. The child was awake, alert, but quiet. Too quiet, Zane didn't take his eyes off the view. Where the hell did she take us? Kale's voice was soft. She didn't move the ship. Zane turned. What? She moved space around the ship. He stared at her, mouth half open. That's not even possible. Kale looked at Ilari. It wasn't, until now. Far away, or maybe very close, 1,000 listening devices blinked to life. Satellites, probes, mines. Something ancient and hidden had felt the pulse. Something that hadn't moved in centuries turned its attention toward a little girl in a stolen ship. The message rippled across space. The hybrid is active. Zane finally stood, pacing across the deck. So what does this mean? She can teleport ships, rewrite physics? What happens next? She turns into a star. Kale didn't smile. If they find her again, they will destroy her. Not because she's dangerous. Zane nodded. But because she's unpredictable. Kale sat beside Ilari. The galaxy has rules. She breaks them just by breathing. Zane rubbed his face. Okay, let's say I still want to help. We need allies. People who don't want to kill her. Kale hesitated. There might be one. 10 hours later, they approached a broken space station drifting near the edge of the old Terran corridor. Zane squinted at the name on the station. ARK-7 didn't Earth abandon this place? He asked. Kale nodded. But not everyone left. The station was falling apart. Lights dead, metal rusted, doors half-sealed. As they docked, a mechanical voice responded to their landing request. Access denied. Identity unknown. Zane turned to Ilari. She didn't speak. She just stepped forward. The lights in the station turned green. Doors unlocked. And a new voice answered. Welcome back, Kale. Welcome home, Seed. Inside, they met someone. Zane didn't expect a human, an older man with a white beard, mechanical arm, and one missing eye. He laughed when he saw Kale. I thought you were dead. She nodded. I almost was. Then his eyes shifted to Ilari, and the laughter stopped. "So," he said, voice rough, "this is the storm they were trying to kill." Zane stepped between them. "We're not here to cause trouble." The man ignored him. He walked straight to Ilari, knelt, and placed his mechanical hand on her shoulder. The lights in the room blinked. He stood up, slowly. "She's more than you," said Kale. "Much more." They sat in a hidden lab below the station. Zane explained everything. The ship, the hunters, the silent moon, the voice from the walls, the missing stars. The old man listened carefully, then leaned back. "You're out of time," he said. "They won't stop. They've already sent someone worse." "Worse than bounty hunters?" Zane asked. The man nodded. "The Council's final weapon. They call it the Collector. It doesn't chase. It finds, and it doesn't take prisoners." Kale looked at Ilari. "Then we leave now." "No," the old man said. "You'll never outrun it. But maybe she can end it." Zane frowned. "How?" The old man reached into a hidden drawer and pulled out something that didn't look human, a crystal-like device with swirling lights inside. "This was part of Project Origin," he said. "A code fragment, a way to speak to the systems the Council never controlled. Hidden A is rogue satellites, dead stations with living minds." He looked at Ilari. "She's the only one who can unlock it." Ilari walked forward. No fear. She touched the device. It dissolved into light, and all across space. Forgotten machines, buried, broken, abandoned, lit up like a storm. The old man looked at Zane and said, almost whispering, "You didn't find her by accident." And far away, the Collector opened its eyes. In the cold vacuum between dying stars, a signal moved. Not through wires, not through waves. It moved through memory. Old memory, forgotten by time, but not erased. And every dead satellite, every abandoned war drone, every silent machine she had touched remembered her. The signal said one thing: she has chosen to stand. Zane didn't know what the word ready meant anymore. His hands were on the ship's control board. But the controls weren't reacting to him now. They responded to her. Every turn, every jump, every hidden protocol, Ilari was flying them all with nothing but her thoughts. Kale stood behind her, tense, pale. Her voice was calm but flat. "The Collector is coming." Zane blinked at the radar. "Coming. What?" Thing just appeared. It bent around time like it was paper. Kale nodded slowly. "It doesn't chase, it arrives." Outside the viewport, space seemed to freeze. Not stop, freeze. Light itself moved slower, warped by some impossible presence. And then it appeared. No engines, no sound. A ship larger than anything Zane had ever seen. Black, smooth, featureless, like a grave carved from space itself. "The Collector," Zane whispered. "What is it made of?" Kale replied, "Everything that stood in its way." Inside their ship, Ilari stood up. She didn't look scared. Not anymore. Zane turned to her. "We can still run." She looked at him, and for the first time, she spoke without the translator. Her voice was soft, but echoed through the ship like wind through a canyon. "Running ends now." In the distance, the Collector opened. Not like a hatch, more like a mouth. A deep, swirling void, silent yet screaming with pressure. Zane tried to steer away. The ship wouldn't move. Not because of damage, because it was holding itself still. "No," Zane said, "this is suicide. This is." Kale put her hand on his arm. "This is the reason she exists." Ilari stepped forward. Her eyes now reflected not just light, but stars. Not ones around them, ones not born yet. As the ship was pulled closer into the gravity field of the Collector, Ilari raised both her hands. A vibration filled the air, a low, strange harmony. The walls of their ship lit up with symbols. Ancient ones from civilizations that never made it past first contact. She was speaking to something. No. Too many things. And they answered. From across the galaxy, every rogue machine, every abandoned AI core, every silent observer that had been waiting for something greater, they all activated. Not weapons, minds, they formed a network. An intelligence that was older than war. And they looked to her as their signal, their center. Zane's ship stopped moving. The collector paused for the first time. The weapon hesitated. Ilari stepped into the center of the ship. She closed her eyes, and the collector began to shake. Its surface cracked not from force, but from rejection. It tried to erase her from existence. But she was no longer a single child. She was a pattern, spread through systems, linked by machines, powered by memory, and protected by those who believed she should exist. And then, light exploded. Not fire. Not destruction, liberation. The collector folded into itself, pixel by pixel. Like a machine finally understanding it was no longer needed. Silence returned. Real silence. Zane looked around. Did she end it? Kale's voice broke as she whispered. She ended what it was made to do. Zane turned to Ilari. She stood still, calm. Then she smiled a small, tired smile, and vanished. No flash, no sound, just gone. Not dead, just dot. Everywhere else, Zane flew the ship in silence. Kale sitting beside him. He looked out the window, watching distant stars return to their natural places. Where do we go now? He asked. Kale smiled faintly. Anywhere we want. For the first time in history, dot dot. The galaxy is not afraid of what comes next. And somewhere in the mind of an old machine, Ilari's voice echoed softly. I am not the end. I am the beginning.